What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 4 of the Blrd podcast. As always, we have Dark Side,
Hey, what's up?
Creamcast,
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Green Tuner,
Hello.
and myself, Ed Underground. How you guys doing?
Good,
Doing
man.
good.
Yeah, man, it's been a great week for me as a sneakerhead, man. There's been a lot of great shoes that got released, so my bank account looking a little light, but that's all right, man. But it's been a good week. Can't complain.
What'd you get?
What did I actually get? I got the Air Jordan 3 UNCs. Nice, beautiful shoe. I would show it on stream actually, but I haven't boxed up. I'm probably gonna flip them, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, very beautiful shoe. But I've lost every shoe other than that. It was like 5 shoes I tried to get this week and lost the rest of them. So you can't be beggars can't be choosers. I got one. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
No, I'm
I
not a
have to look it
sneakerhead
up.
myself. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to look it up myself. A
it's a
lot of
pretty
my
nice
friends are
sneaker.
sneakerheads.
I like the other ones you showed me last time, the pink ones.
the pink ones.
Where it had like the
the-
flowers in it.
Oh, you're talking about the LeBron 18 lows, the Sakura.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
are
actually
fire.
left an impression on me.
Oh,
What is it?
LeBron 18 lows, Sakuras.
18.
Yeah, they're actually a fire shoe. And it's funny because he released like three lows like this past week or two, and that was the only low that actually sold out. The rest of them, they sold out in certain sizes, but
Yeah.
LeBrons are not really hyped right now, so that's why like I pick it. I like them because I like them, but they're not really huge in the sneaker community right now. So
Mm.
I mean, people are like sheep. They go for, of course, like the Jordan 1s, Jordan 3s, Jordan 4s, and pretty much anything that's Jordan they go for. Travis Scott 6s came out.
Yeah.
Those were hard to get, but fire shoe. But yeah, people are like sheep and they just get shoes that is cool as opposed to shoes they actually like. So it is what it is. But maybe we can start a portion of the podcast for all those sneakerheads out there and be like the shoe of the week, the heat of the week or something like that, or just show a shoe collection.
I was gonna say the price is not that bad either. I'm looking at it online,
Yeah,
as opposed as to what I thought they were gonna be.
How much is it, though?
250 or 210.
That's not bad.
yeah. For a shoe that was like I think probably 180 at retail, it's not bad at all. So you gotta take what you can get. Like I got some Raging 5s, Jordan Raging Bull 5s, and those were like $200, and they're going for like maybe I think like 300 right now. So I mean, there's some profit if you want to flip them, but for the most part, I try to wear my shoes. So we'll see.
I'm sure the hype beast would get LeBron's once the Space Jam movie comes out too, because he's gonna be pretty hyped up for at least good 2 to 3 months once that movie comes out.
Well, that's the funny thing. The Space Jams that came out with the original Space Jam movie and the other models, other years of Space Jams, they've gone up in price because of the Space Jam movie. Do I think they're going to go crazy? Not necessarily. But at the same time, I think for the most part, like space, like any Jordan for the most part are usually they're going to either go for retail, like they usually don't dip below retail value. They usually always stay up above retail, other than like the Deltas and so forth, Jordan Deltas. But like the OG classics, like the Jordan ones, like you guys, I showed you the Spider-Man origin story Jordan ones.
Yes.
Like $700. Those are not going down in price anytime soon. Anything they got the JKOs coming out like 2 or 3 weeks. Those are going to go for at least $400. So like anything Jordan for the most part is always going to do hype numbers. So like I said, I don't say I'm a true sneakerhead because I still like to resell stuff, but I mean the game is crazy right now. There's a lot of good options out there. So yeah, maybe
Which Jordans are the ones that you end up seeing at Ross? Are those a Delta? Every time I go to Ross, they always have like Jordans, but it's in like inhuman sizes. It's like size 15 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean there's some like Jordans, and it's funny, but Jordans that are not popular are like I think there's like the 35s are not the most popular. There's a lot of Jordans out there that are not the hype Jordans. Like the ones, the 3s, the 5s, the 4s, the 6s, those are usually like more the majority of the hype type shoes. But those are not even hype. Like the ones are by far the hypest Jordans right now. Other than that, other than Jordans, like the Nike skateboarding shoes, the SB Dunks, and the Nike Dunks are very popular right now. Like every colorway of a dunk that comes out right now is gonna go for at least triple the original cost. That's just how it. Like the pink shoe, was another pink shoes I got, some Dunks. Them bad boys I bought them for $100, sold them for like a little over 300. The pink Corvettes, and
Wow.
that's how Dunks are. Doesn't matter what colorway they come in, people are gonna hype them up just because. And plus, you hear about people like, oh man, I know there's a way you can make some money off some Jordans and so forth. They're gonna buy Jordans even if they never wear them. They've been wearing Saucony's their entire life, or like Adidas their entire life, but they'll buy up the Jordans because they know they can flip them and resell them. So that's the kind of state of where shoes are at the moment. So I mean, and last thing before we jump off the shoe talk, the funny thing is, like, you talk about shoes that you see like at Ross, like Marshalls and so forth. There have been Jordans that have sat in like places like that, in like Foot Locker, for literally months. Nobody wants to wear them, nobody wants to pick them up, but then for some reason they get hot. Like a celebrity picks them up, or the trend switches to that type of shoe. There's been shoes that you could have bought for bulk at like $80 a pair that sell for $500-$600 now. And that's just how it is. Like there's Jordan 3s out there that people weren't buying at all. They were sitting on shelves for weeks and months. Now go for $500 easy, like in all sizes. So it's crazy. The sneaker game's crazy. So you always gotta have some heat. But yeah, maybe we could do a section before we kick off the nerd talk. Like, hey, this is the heat of the day or the heat of the week or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of things planned for this channel for the future. So.
Indeed. It reminds me of fidget spinners. Like, no one knew what a fidget spinner was, and all of a sudden it just like blew up.
Yeah.
And like everyone wanted them, and people were like overselling them, and like it was hot for a good 2-3 months.
Yeah.
But crazy.
Jordans have been popular forever.
Oh yeah.
Don't be yawning in this podcast, dude. you got your coffee, man. Don't be yawning in this podcast.
It's just an exciting sneaker talk.
All right, point proven. We'll never talk about sneakers ever again.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm the worst. I got some horribly dirty sneakers I wear everywhere. So I have homeless shoes.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. So trust me, the sneaker game is not worth it, man. Like I remember as a kid, my parents not buying me. I always wanted like sneakers for my parents, and they never wanted to buy them for me. Now I know as an adult, like I literally have spent thousands of dollars in a week on shoes, on hype shoes that I wanted because I just wanted them. And I can understand as a parent now, like why they don't get kids like the hypest sneaker ever released, because at this rate, like I can see why people will go broke like wearing sneakers. So I do it now because I couldn't do it as much as a kid. But yeah, it's an expensive hobby to have for sure. So you're saving yourself some money for sure.
For a PS5 or Xbox, it's about the same price.
Nobody wants an Xbox.
I mean, I got an Xbox. Anyways.
All right.
So I got a thought here. So I had watched WandaVision and recently Falcon or Winter Soldier. Yeah. And so WandaVision, I went into the series thinking it's gonna be like whatever series, just something that they're gonna throw together. And I left out actually very very impressed. Like I couldn't wait for when the episode started, 1, 2, 3. Like I couldn't wait for the next episode because it kind of felt like a Marvel movie, in my opinion. And there was no like big hype behind it, but the way
there was no big hype behind it. There was a lot of hype behind it.
Well, okay, maybe in my opinion, like the people that I talked to, they were like in the middle because it's going to be on Disney Plus, and there's going to be no big Marvel movies coming out within the year. So maybe that's why.
Other kung fu movie coming on.
Well, that's recent.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of those upcoming, like what the 2021 looks like. I got some of that pulled up, but I mean, I had the complete opposite reaction with WandaVision as you, I guess. Like, started out really interesting, really unusual. The episodes were short, and I like that Disney Plus does that with The Mandalorian too. They kind of tell you as much as they need to tell you. They don't overstay. So the episodes are like 22-minute episodes. There's not necessarily your 50-minute episode or however long an hour long standard episode runs. They don't feel like the need to jam unusual, unnecessary content in there. So right off the bat, WandaVision was like kind of refreshing to me. The first few episodes, and I liked how the decades progressed in the context of the television show, kind of what they're talking about. First of all, everyone here has seen WandaVision, correct?
No.
No.
I've seen some of it. I've seen like half the episodes currently.
I've seen all the episodes.
I watched them all.
Okay, so I mean, Eric, Creamcast.
Just call me Eric at this point. You stuttered through Eric. Eric. Just call me Eric. It'll show up as Creamcast. I'm known as Creamcast, but yeah, call me Eric. I don't care.
Yeah, sure. What was I saying? The episodes, they progress through their decades. So, and you've probably seen that if you watched half the series.
Yeah,
you've kind of seen. And so that was a real cool concept. The progression of the series and like the mystery surrounding it. But what I kind of, and this is what I'm talking about, the opposite of what Ed Underground. I am like in two worlds right now. I'm trying to figure out who the hell is this person? What do I call him right now?
Like, if we had secret identities, like, you know how like in movies, like they talk about like, oh, people really wouldn't act like this in the real world, or this is how they would, like, if there was a world of superheroes and secret identities,
they would screw up all the time.
You would screw up, and you would be like, screw up all the time. Dark League. Batman. I mean, Eric. I mean, well, everything's ruined.
Bruce Wayne.
Exactly.
Robin.
Yeah. Not Robin. We already know the stuff started this on stream or on podcast.
Yeah,
we know.
But going back to what I was saying, it kind of got more formulaic, and the way it wrapped up was real generic Marvel movie. It really wasn't really special as the way it started out, and I was expecting something really unique and kind of. Unlike anything that the MCU has put out, but it kind of ended up right back in the generic mix of stuff. And then we'll talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I had another reaction where it was like I was expecting it to be generic and formulaic, and it was, but it really ramped as the series went, and it ended way better than it started. So way more excited for the future of that series and where that will lead. Than I was for WandaVision. It was still interesting. WandaVision was still interesting for me. It just kind of just got disappointed as it went along.
Yeah, I agree. It was it started out good with the mystery and everything, and then it became a chore just trying to get through all the remaining episodes, and like the very cartoony way that some of the characters would act is just really turned me off of the show.
I was actually so I went into this WandaVision with like mid expectations, and as the episodes progress, I couldn't wait for the next episode. Oh, for those listening and watching too, I'm assuming there's going to be spoilers, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
we'll
spoiler warning.
Try as much as we can. Honestly,
it's all in her head.
There's not a lot to spoil. I mean, it's pretty like it's structured like a Marvel thing, there's not there's no huge twist. There's no Game of Thrones situation here. So I'm not in fear of spoiling too much for anyone. So I'll try to, if there's any major twists, we could try to keep those, on the DL.
That's correct. They'll have time.
Yeah,
They had
everybody's
to.
had time. Like I probably watched the least amount of WandaVision, and I am not at a point of like, oh my goodness, like I'm at a point like I should have watched it by now. I had plenty of time to do it. I've been watching other shows that have kept my interest a lot better than WandaVision. So spoil away. And unfortunately, if you are a viewer and you are listening to this, or not a viewer, well, a viewer or a listener, because we're on several platforms like Spotify and hopefully YouTube this time.
One day.
One day.
Yeah, hopefully. It
Yeah,
seems
we'll
like we
see.
only have one video there.
Yeah, we'll see how this works out. But yeah, go ahead and spoil it. Just, I mean, it is what it is. But as a person who has had the least amount of viewed episode or watch time on WandaVision, my opinion on it going into it at first was same thing like Dark Side, whatever at this point.
Jesus.
Yeah, this guy.
A lot of bleeping from.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of bleeping, but that's okay. You gotta keep those secret identities.
Hey,
listen. Right. That's a good touch though. People like that. But I mean, going into it, I knew coming into the whole WandaVision situation that this was more of a bridge between the different Avenger movies, Marvel movies that will be coming out. So this is kind of a, hey, you know, I kind of look at it like they know people are getting burnt out probably of the Marvel movies. Me personally, I was kind of getting burnt out of the Marvel movies because like it was great seeing like new characters, like, you know, like the Ant-Man series, Doctor Strange and so forth. So they're breaking out the norms of what you would consider like the traditional, you know, or the main three, the big three, you know, Iron Man, Thor,
Captain America.
and Captain America.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was nice to break away from that. But I think a lot of people like myself were getting to a point where we're getting burnt out from the Marvel movies. So this was a great way of changing the medium up so that instead of, you know, having to sit through 3-hour movies and so forth every couple of months for a new Marvel movie, now we can go watch a movie or watch an episode in 20 minutes. And the one thing I do really, really appreciate going into WandaVision was that the episodes were short. These weren't the typical, you know, like was saying, these going on to, yeah, I'm calling Syed, 50-minute.
Bleep all this.
Bleep all. Yeah, going into a lot of these shows, I will honestly say there's not many shows that can go on for a whole hour that really just pinpoint, like they get straight to the point. They give you what you need and nothing more. There's very few shows that can do that. Shows that could do it well that come to mind are something like Game of Thrones, like the first few seasons. There's a lot of, you know, backstory that were in the books that you need to put into the episodes, which makes sense. But for Marvel, like some people say, and some people hate it, Marvel is not it's not one of those cinema scenes that you are going to go in and be like, man, this is life-changing. Like, man, my mind is blown from how deep the storyline is. Is usually there's a bad guy, good guy comes, saves the day. Very formulaic, as you know, everybody was saying here. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, overall with WandaVision, I mean, the beginning episodes, I'm not gonna lie, very boring to me. It was cool seeing the decades of the different sitcom eras, you know, like the I Love Lucy generation and so forth. What's the other one? That one of the big ones.
Well, as it goes further, there's
like Brady Bunch. One,
yeah,
Bewitched was one other.
Yeah, exactly. So like they had, you know, it was really cool seeing that because as a kid, I used to watch those episodes growing up and seeing the stylistic way of directing each episode. That was really cool going through the decades. Mm-hmm. And I would give Marvel a lot of kudos for doing something that is new and refreshing. But you know, we've been so used to with Marvel movies, action. You know, the movies, they set up the story, set up the plot. Midway through, you have your drama, and then at the end, you have your resolution. Here, they're building up to it, so it's kind of like you have to get used to that. Like, you know, the beginning episodes of WandaVision so far, and I know how it ends, so I'm not really pressed about that. But you know, I understand they're trying to build up to something, and that's just something you have to get used to because before we're used to getting it in one sitting, now we have to get it in a sitting, but then have to wait a week, then another sitting, and have to wait a week. The people who benefit the most are the people who, like, all the episodes come out and they can watch everything in one go. That they probably benefit the most out of this. But WandaVision, I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of like it's a nice break, honestly, from the whole Marvel formula, and I'm with it. It was not the most entertaining thing comparatively, when it's coming off the heels of like Endgame, a year or how many months after Endgame and so forth, of course, it's not going to lead up to the hype of that, because we literally been building up for that for 10 years, and there's so much action and so forth that they were doing with it. But I would say this wasn't bad, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was overall a great series. So far that I've watched, it has been a great series.
I remember now why I was in the beginnings big into WandaVision, because in the movies, there wasn't a lot of Wanda. Like, we got used to Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, but the other characters behind the scenes, we really weren't connected to those characters, like Black Widow. I would say maybe even the Hulk, Hawkeye, because they didn't have their own solo movie, or there just wasn't enough character depth like they have with the other characters, but the main characters that we know of. But watching the first episode of WandaVision, seeing the progression from the first to the last, I was really, really into it. They didn't just go from Bewitched and Dick Van Dyke. They went from that to later on in the 90s, like Malcolm in the Middle. And I watched all those shows back in the day, Bewitched and Dick Van Dyke, stuff like that. But then when I went to Malcolm in the Middle and so on, I was like, oh, okay. Even Modern Family, they kind of did that too. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. But what really sold me, and here's some spoiler right here, is when they showed Dead Vision. That's what, like, that grabbed me, like, whoa, okay. Like, that scene where they went from him in the background to like just a full face of Dead Vision, I was like, whoa, because I did not see that coming. I was like, okay, this is something like I want to see the next episode. And after that, like, I was talking about, okay, what's going to happen next? What's the theory that's going to come up? Who's behind all this that Wanda is doing? Is it Mephisto? Is it Agnes? And Agnes was in there, but there was no Mephisto. But you always thought in the back of your mind, okay, is Mephisto behind this somehow? And then the kids, and just, yeah, like, the progression of the series was amazing. The ending, kind of good. I kind of had some gripe with it, but the after the credits thing, I thought was a nice setup for an upcoming movie. But that's my.
So that sets up the Doctor Strange movie, where she will play a part in that movie.
I didn't see the after credits. What was it?
So you want to say it, or you want me to say it?
I don't even remember what it is, to be honest. So
I remember.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I think she's back in her home country, or just like out in the middle of nowhere with lots of mountains, and you see like
what was the name of the country?
Sokovia.
Yeah.
I was going to say Slovakia. I was like,
no, I know it's Slovakia now, but she's like out in the middle of Sokovia, mountains, and just like one single little wooden house. And the camera zooms in, and you see her just like, normally outside drinking coffee or whatever. Then she walks back in the house. And as she's walking back in the house, the camera continues to go inside the house, passes her up, and then goes to like a room. And you see her again, but this time you see her floating in the air in her
Scarlet Witch outfit.
Yeah, in her Scarlet Witch outfit.
The final Scarlet Witch form.
Full blown, with the helmet and everything. And she's just there, like, just levitating in midair, going through, I forgot the name of the book.
The Darkhold.
The Darkhold. And then, like, in the background, before it cuts, you hear, I think one or both of the kids scream "mom" or something like that. And then she looks up with red eyes, and the camera the scene just ends. And I'm like, okay.
So so I'm assuming, I mean, I haven't finished the series, but this sounds like the House of M, pretty much. It follows like portions of the House of M. And that's a really cool concept. I think that's really cool. I was funny that I was telling my wife, like, I'm like, Scarlet Witch is extremely powerful. And
yes.
I was like, in the House of M series, I mean, the whole, at this point, it shouldn't be spoiled. It's been years. It's been out for years. Yeah. But I'm like, the fact that, she can literally change the probability of everybody having their powers in the whole I was gonna say DC, Marvel Universe, and changing mutants to being just normal humans. I'm like, that's so cool. And the fact that they kind of played with that whole timeline of what, with her kids and I always mess up the name, Mesquite,
Mephisto, or wait,
Mosquito.
Mosquito. Watch out.
Mosquito.
Just shooting everywhere.
Yeah, the fact that they deal with that whole storyline with her thinking that she's having kids when they're really demons, and the whole storyline is really, really cool. So the fact that they explore that somewhat in this series, I think that there's so much good. There's a good template out there for Scarlet Witch, and the fact that they incorporate as much as they can without going to the deep end, I think that's pretty cool. But I mean, even if they did do that, though, the problem would be that because the enhanced humans in the Marvel universe right now are very limited. So there's no crossovers with like X-Men at the moment. So unless they did that, I think that would have been a really cool cool if they would have brought all the X-Men into the whole Marvel universe at the same time, and then they explored the House of M. It'll be hard to do because
but they changed it, right?
Did you get as far as
they changed the fact that Magneto is her father, right?
Yeah, they changed it.
Well, no, I don't think they've explored that because they haven't opened that door yet. They opened it in WandaVision here, and it was a really cool moment when they did that with Quicksilver. If you guys all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is probably the most spoilery moment. Like I'm talking about like a Game of Thrones thing. This was probably the most like jaw-dropping moment for me when this moment happened, and it kind of had huge implications, and I had a lot of respect for them for doing this. And I'm gonna have to talk about it here. It's the Quicksilver from the X-Men Fox universe, from the X-Men First Class universe. He showed up as Quicksilver as her brother, and not Aaron Taylor Johnson, who died as Quicksilver in
Avengers Ultron.
Yeah, Ultron and Age of Ultron. So that opened the door for so the X-Men universe is now the Fox X-Men universe with Hugh Jackman Wolverine and Patrick Stewart Xavier is now crossing over with the Marvel Cinematic Universe through alternate reality goofiness. But this is probably one of the major reasons why I did not like this end of WandaVision. They threw all that out the window in a very, very, very poor way.
Yeah.
As a joke, as a throwaway joke.
What a way to
it was Ralph Boner, was the character's name, by the way.
Oh yeah, it was
Ralph Boner. So it was incredibly
you can't Ralph on
disappointing.
boners.
No, you can't. Well, you can, but that's not
demonetized.
Cut this out.
Cut this out.
When that happened, like so many theories, it's a big deal because you were thinking, okay, if they somehow brought the Quicksilver from the Fox universe, then the sky's the limit. Wolverine.
Magneto can walk in the door.
Magneto, that's what I really wanted to see.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Magneto above.
Because they left that door. They even when explaining the twins like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, even back in the Age of Ultron, or even back in the Avengers when they were, or no, it's not actually Avengers. I think it was Iron Man 2 where they introduced the twins. I forgot, but they never told who their parents were. It just said, okay, it assumed that they used the Tesseract. I think it was the Tesseract to give them their powers, which, granted, that's changing the storyline of mutant powers and so forth, but that can still be brought in. You can still bring in Magneto. You can still somehow explain that storyline in a way that makes sense. I'm all for changing origin stories of the comic books because different mediums require different ways of telling the story. So they cannot always be as direct, especially with all these different universes. But yeah, the fact that they scrap those ideas when that could be one of the, when you think of the House of M, when I think of the House of M, I think on the level like the Dark Phoenix saga. It could have been really good, how it was in the comics, and you can be able to transplant that into the movies. But the one thing that always scares me, and it's kind of good maybe they did throw it away and got rid of some of those options, was because we saw how bad Dark Phoenix turned out to be.
The movie?
The movie
Yeah, movie was
compared
horrible.
to compared to the comics, how awesome it could have been, and even the animated series, how it could have been in the movies, but it didn't translate well.
No.
So I kind of think like even with the decision of not pursuing the House of M kind of storyline and going to that level of start doing crossovers, maybe it's for the best, to be honest. So sometimes you don't realize what you're missing until it's too late. So like
Marvel's capable though of like Marvel Cinematic Universe, Disney, however you want to categorize them, they are capable of taking their time and building a storyline over a course of movies and not jumping right to. So I have if they wanted to do House of M, which they would need the X-Men, definitely concept of mutants introduced for that to happen. They could do that down the road. I mean, they kind of made her uber powerful now. And we're talking about the ending of the WandaVision, where kind of you can hear her kids. So the conclusion of WandaVision, all the reality she created is gone. It's just a figment of her power. And so when all that goes away, it's implied that her kids were just, created by her mind, but she still has that attachment to those kids. And those kids are both characters in the comic books. They're part of the Young Avengers. So there's a lot of potential. There's actually a lot of hints that those children will show up again. The Hawkeye series is coming up as Kate Bishop. She's also on the Young Avengers. So this is like a cast of Young Avengers being assembled here. But the really exciting thing for me is I love the Doctor Strange movie, and that character was really cool to me. So the plot, I don't know a lot about it for the next movie, is the what is the title? It's that the
something multiverse
of madness. The multiverse of madness.
Yeah.
So I hope, and I don't know, I believe Scarlet Witch plays a huge part in that. I hope she's the villain. I hope she's tearing through the multiverse, trying to find her kids and causing all kinds of chaos, which would cause Doctor Strange to show up and stop her. So I hope she's the villain because she's got a really cool dark streak and kind of like a grudge where the series ends. So I like where it leaves her character. But as like I said, as a series itself, it kind of floundered towards the end, but it left a lot of cool potential for her character and the ramifications for the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, yeah, she was villainous on the WandaVision. She was basically holding everybody hostage.
Yeah.
She wasn't a good guy.
Yeah. So
very selfish.
She might need a therapy from a doctor. So I think that could be cool. I think that might be the movie, which I think will be really
That's
cool.
How they introduce
if they
Xavier.
Take time and it could potentially be awesome to see some of the cool visuals. Imagining multiverse, Doctor Strange and her like fighting with magic or whatever, probabilities and all this stuff. It could be real cool. And then just getting down to the root of her like issues, which with all the backstory. Yeah, we have a lot of backstory with her, so you don't have to spend a lot of time explaining stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
it's a villain that makes sense.
Yeah. It does, and I'm sure they're like, and you know what? I'm going to call it again here, and I'm going to say that if she is the bad guy, of course, somebody will be manipulating behind the scenes. It's going to be Mephisto, or it's going to be my boy from the first Doctor Strange movie. I forgot his name.
Dormammu?
Not Parallax.
Not Dormammu. The dude.
Yeah.
The
I forgot.
Oh, you're talking about the no more sorcerers?
Yes.
I forgot his name.
I did too. He's a cool character.
Mordo.
Yeah, Mordo.
Mordo.
Yeah, I think is he also a Baron? You got a lot of Barons running around MCU right now. A Baron Zemo, you got Baron Mordo.
Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
Dance.
A lot of potential there for the end of WandaVision. So generally, I think it's a lot of cool potential, refreshing the way it started, but they couldn't wrap it up, in my opinion, as well. And maybe because they're just not used to television shows or what the plan is. They got a lot of balls to juggle when it comes to planning out the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I thought the end was kind of flat, but it did leave me wanting more, wanting to see what was going to come up next for the Doctor Strange movie. Another thing that was in WandaVision was White Vision. I did not see that coming. I didn't even think they would go that far. And also, I forgot her name, but the black actress who became not Pfizer.
Photon.
I don't know. I said Pfizer.
Pfizer. Is that what you said?
I said Pfizer. I said Pfizer.
Nice.
That's a side effect of the vaccine.
Wow.
Pfizer.
I'm now walking
His
ad for
brain
Pfizer.
is becoming smooth. It's losing all its ridges right now.
Did you get the Pfizer vaccine? Just out of nowhere. But
Disney minus.
Disney minus.
That's funny, Eric. That's funny.
That's
Disney
pretty
funny.
good, Eric. I gotta say.
Nice.
Thank you. I can roll that joke by myself.
Anyways, the whole aspect of mutants currently in the MCU, it's not even thought of from what we're seeing, what we're watching. But what's her name again? I forgot her name already.
Pfizer.
Photon. Anyways, how she got her powers. Different from the comics. But I mean, yeah.
So is WandaVision, right? I mean, so is Wanda.
Oh, yeah, Wanda.
Yeah,
so
she wasn't
the
born with it. She got him,
The
through
Tesseract.
the Tesseract.
Well, she was born with it, but the Tesseract amplified it.
Yeah, but it's not faithful to the comics.
Yeah, it's not. But like, I just see a lot of key things where they could have just said out loud mutants, but they didn't. They kind of like did how this person's a mutant in the comic books, but in the MCU, she got her powers from the Tesseract, or Photon in the comics, mutant or whatever. But in the series, Wanda, just a lot of
struggling to try to explain that at the moment. They either don't have a plan, or they're coming up with a plan, or there's some bridge movie gonna.
I'm sure they're coming
question.
up with a plan, especially after the Disney purchased them. They
Yeah,
probably want to
spent
make
that
sure they
money
do
for
it. Exactly. They just probably want to make sure they do it the right way so it fits the rest of what they've already built.
Sure.
Yeah. I hope they have to be planning something, but I think it was a big missed opportunity. And then that the whole Quicksilver thing, like, come on, like that was kind of like the hope, like this is actually happening, and then like the kind of the letdown, like all right, I still love you guys, but all right, it was kind of like that.
They smacked that poor Boner. That was his last name.
I know that was his last name.
Boner.
Yeah, Boner. Yeah. Yeah, she just got on top of that Boner and just punched it into submission.
Oh my goodness!
Please don't demonetize us.
Please don't demonetize.
That was the scene, though. He's right.
No. But he makes it seem like this is like a XXX parody or something like that.
I didn't write this. That's his last name, Boner.
No, but she just got on the Boner and just punched it into submission. I'm like, am I on Pornhub or what is this?
I can imagine if someone has ever seen WandaVision and they hear us saying this, they'll probably think that.
But I mean,
they take off their pants and turn onto the episode.
Yeah, right. There you go and be like, I saw the video on the Pornhub. It's the same thing. Wanda jumps on the Boner.
Ralph Boner.
So, but no, I mean, the crossover. I mean, we all know that these universes cross over at some point with the Marvel universe, and I have to give credit to where credit is due. The ability to do this, to do any type of remote crossover, is very difficult. And while a lot of people can complain, I mean, it's never going to be comic book faithful. It's very rare that TV shows, any type of live action interpretation of any type of comic book, manga, and so forth will never be 100% faithful to the original source. That's just a fact. Watching some of the recent animated shows that have come out that will talk in another podcast, but one being Invincible. Invincible is not 100% faithful to the to the comic book, and that's totally fine. Like, there are different mediums. Have different outcomes, and even everybody always complain. You always see comments, people being angry and complaining, oh, this was not in the comic books, blah blah blah. But it's very hard once you've built a storyline that is so, like, the whole Marvel universe is not based on anything like mutants. And I think I do, if I do remember correctly, they did mention mutants in one of the Marvel movies in the past. It was a brief, like, literally just said one time. But other than that, there's no crossover. So the fact of, and you gotta look at it like of how popular a series will be over time. The fact that they even did a smidgen of a reference, I think is good. What I get upset about is that, they just sometimes waste really good storylines. But we'll see how WandaVision turns out. I mean, I think what Darkseid Syed said about Wanda being, we're gonna bleep all this. No, you started something. But I think for me, not seeing the ending of WandaVision, that's fine. I'm probably gonna watch the rest of it tonight or tomorrow. But honestly, if they can take all these different series and spin them into movies where, like, WandaVision, like you're saying, Wanda becomes the bad guy in the new Doctor Strange movie, that would be so badass. Like, taking her from where she was before in the Avengers movie all the way, we can literally document her journey to where she's the bad guy of sorts. I mean, I think that's awesome. So, I just say Marvel, continue to do what you do. Not everybody's gonna like what you do, and it gets boring at times. Sometimes the formula is just very predictable. But I think this could be definitely a new way of introducing storylines, plots, and so forth that we just didn't expect. And with this, making Wanda going from a good guy to a bad guy like that, I think that's pretty cool, because we as viewers are invested. Even though she was a side character for a long time in the movies, now we have at least a little bit of a reference to being invested into her at this point. So now she turns into a bad guy. We can kind of sympathize of all that she's lost. She lost her brother, she lost her lover, lost her kids, and so forth. Went crazy, snapped, and now
lost
she
Vision.
That's why I said her lover.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but that's a if she's the guy. Yeah, right. We don't know.
But that would be really cool if they did.
That would be awesome.
If Saya is right about that, I mean, maybe you should write for Marvel.
I mean, the thing is that they are formulaic, like you said. Like, we can call these things kind of at it from a distance, but I think they're very good at being aware of their own, like, nature, and you kind of see them try to shake things up a little bit, or take big, like, I don't know if you'd call it a big risk, but I think the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe is a huge risk. Right out the gate, I think it's probably one of the biggest risks anyone has ever taken in film. Like, the concept, like, I think we talked about this when we did the Justice League movie discussion, but taking individual superheroes, giving them the time that they need to develop as characters, then taking all those characters, putting them together in a movie, and having all those characters shine and be balanced, and you forming a connection as a viewer to each of those characters and the relationships they have, to the point where you can bring them along in another movie, and, like Civil War, and critically hurt that relationship, and you care for it, and then you're invested in where these characters are going and how they're going to come back together, and then you go and you bring in Thanos 22 movies down the line, build up to that. That is an incredible achievement that just, and yeah, did they screw up a few times? Yeah, we talked about Thor, The Dark World, and in the first Hulk movie, which I like, but a lot of people don't like.
Which Hulk movie?
Incredible Hulk.
The Edward Norton one.
Norton. Yeah,
that's
Norton.
Part of the universe?
Yes.
It's the second MCU
I didn't
film.
know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's actually canon.
I thought it was like dismissed.
No, it is the second MCU film, but just Ed Norton didn't. I forgot, it was some money issue. I don't know what it was.
Really quick. So the reason why Edward Norton didn't do it is because a lot of people did on Edward Norton in the first movie, because he actually was trying to interject a lot into the story of the Hulk movie, The Incredible Hulk, because he really actually cared about the movie a lot. Edward Norton is actually a comic book fan himself, so he wanted to interject a lot into the movie. They're like, dude, play your role. You're an actor, not the director. And because of how much he cared about the movie, they said that kind of with his acting style, they were saying he doesn't play well with others. They want somebody who's a little bit more subdued, and that's why they got what's his name?
Forgot his name.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Which, Mark Ruffalo is a great actor.
He's great. Yeah, he's great.
But he's a subdued character he's more of a subdued character than Edward Norton was. So if you actually watch the Incredible Hulk movie, at the end credits, the general meets up with Tony Stark, and that's when Tony actually brings up the Avenger initiative for the first time in the whole Marvel universe, which is kind of weird how they do it, because Tony brings it up to the Hulk prior to the first Iron Man movie. I think Iron Man hadn't came out at that time. I think Iron Man 1 came out and Incredible Hulk came out right after. That's how you know who Tony Stark is. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they said it, and then I believe so Fury said it in the first Avengers initiative, came up to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And then the first Iron Man, and then Iron Man said it to General Ross in the Hulk movie. So people don't give it credit because it seems separate. You didn't see really Iron Man. You didn't see any other characters in it other than General Ross, which you see in the later movies of the Avenger movies. But yeah, people don't give it credit for what it was.
No, I liked it. I remember a while back when I was talking to Darkseid about it. That was one of the first intros into sort of seeing Captain America fight against the Hulk, because they had that one villain who had the super soldier serum, remember?
Yes, yeah. And when they pulled the serum out, it was I forgot the name of the professor who engineered the super soldier serum for Steve Rogers. His name was on the vial when they pulled it out in that movie. So there were a lot of little things, and I think Stark Tech might have been on some of the equipment they were using on the Hulk.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, it was some so they were trickling it in. I love those early Marvel movies where it was just like they're kind of feeling it out, and remember the feeling of those stingers at the end, where everyone stayed for the stinger because it was a big deal, and it was cool when they first started doing it. When it first started, now nobody cares.
Now, oh my god!
But then that early Marvel, so going back to a lot of credit for them to develop characters. So Scarlet Witch, she was, you said, she was a throwaway character. Black Widow she's a big deal. She's a good character in the comics, and I'm glad she's getting a movie because she does have a really rich backstory she can pull from. I don't think they'll get as dark as they need to, because she's definitely an R-rated backstory for her, which I don't think Disney will ever go there. But a lot of potential.
Speaking of dark and Disney, what do you think will happen with Deadpool now that Disney owns Fox?
Ooh.
It's
just as
R.
a side conversation.
Yes, they already said that.
It's staying R, so they'll let it be what it is. Okay.
Yeah, right. And I believe it'll be self-aware of the fact that he's from 20th Century Fox going into Disney. So he will be like you think Deadpool will be.
Oh, perfect.
No, Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool will be. Going into the Disney, which I'm excited to see what happens.
There's going to be definitely fifth wall breaking in between the series.
A lot of X-Men jokes. Where are the mutants? I'm sure he's going to be
so great.
A lot of this stuff. Where'd all those guys go?
It seems like only you are.
Some interest. Yeah, it could be real cool, real interesting. But yeah, WandaVision. Generally speaking,
Creamcast is right. At least now they finally are fleshed her out a little more, because she was pretty forgettable in the main movies. At least now you get to understand her better, and kind of they start to scratch her potential of what she can actually do. As opposed as to the very little things that she did in the main movies.
Yeah, I agree, and it's really cool that like I said, they pay homage to a lot of things of previous storylines. So like I said, it's an accomplishment in of itself, and it's not an easy thing to do. And to bring in a House of M into a whole movie, I think it could go disastrously wrong, because there's so much you can do with that that whole comic book throughout the entire movie. Like, and the thing is like how they've transitioned her from, like I said, from the the damaged teen to wants to kill Tony Stark. Now she's part of the Avengers. Then she loses her lover, Vision, just in case Ed, you didn't realize what that was. And then she loses her kids, and then she's having a mental break after Endgame. So I think that is really good. I really look forward to what they're going to do, and we'll see. Marvel, for the most part, I think Marvel has gotten a pace of their movies and the thematics of all of their movies at the point that it makes sense. Like they're in a good pace. They know how to do all their movies. Like Guardian of the Galaxy 3 that's coming out. I think James Gunn is back in the director role for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they remember they boycotted. They're like, we're not going to shoot Guardian of the Galaxy 3 if he's not in this movie. I trust how that movie is going to turn out. I mean, now with Adam coming in as the bad guy of the movie from Guardian of the Galaxy 2, a lot of people like, based on how everything went on in Endgame and with the multiple Gamoras and all this other storyline, as well, not multiple because there's only one now because one got killed. Spoiler alert. But I mean, I'm looking forward to how they're going to do the entire storyline, past Avengers, past the original Avengers, and they start going to the new age and so forth. I think it's going to be really good. So I say we can trust Marvel for what they're doing. So we'll see.
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, since you mention it, Disney Plus will be getting the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special in 2022. Probably one shot.
Nice.
I think that sounds really fun. It'll be directed. I think James Gunn directing. So that'll come out right before the Guardians 3 comes out. So
when's the Suicide Squad by James Gunn coming out?
That is
this year,
in
right?
2 months.
Yeah,
2 months. Oh wow.
Yeah,
it's coming out really soon.
Okay.
Yeah, HBO Max.
Oh really?
Oh
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh nice.
Yeah. Yeah, HBO Max has a lot of good stuff coming. They got The Matrix coming out this year. They got Suicide Squad. There's another big movie that I'm missing.
There's The Conjuring 3. I'm not a big fan, but it's on there.
Conjuring. I'm a big fan. I love The Conjuring.
Is Conjuring the doll?
It's a spin-off of that universe.
Same universe.
Which one was the one where at the end they were like in the basement and it was filled with water?
Saw? No,
that's Conjuring 1.
No, Conjuring. That was Conjuring, right?
Yeah, it was Conjuring 1.
Okay, that was pretty good. I liked it. It had nice moments of comedy in it, which was unexpected.
Space Jam is going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah,
Spiral is that coming on Max?
Spiral?
Spiral is not.
Dragon?
I don't think Spiral is. No.
Spiral
is the Saw prequel with Chris Rock.
Oh, Spiral. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think it was Spiral the Dragon. Spiral the Saw.
Spiral the Dragon.
Spiral Dragon. Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff coming out on HBO. So I think that this is a great. I'm not gonna lie. This is a great time to be alive, guys. So like, we've seen comic books after comic book movies. We're seeing really good content that's coming out right now, and like, I would have never thought, like, even going back to the stuff that we talked about before with like the Snyder Cut, who would have ever thought that we would have a team up of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Cyborg all in the Flash, all in a movie where it's really well balanced.
Would have thought we would see the Snyder Cut. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is a really good time for comic book lovers and for those who just love seeing their superheroes and everything else come into the big screen / HBO Max. This is a really good time, and I'm really looking forward to like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, even though it's coming out for next year. I think it's gonna be really good. Suicide Squad. I'm the first one I was not a huge fan of. Actually, I thought it was pretty bad.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But with James Gunn behind it, I don't trust Warner Brothers, but I think that James Gunn could do it justice, especially with how well Snyder Cut did. I think that they probably will trust the director's vision a little bit more than what they have in the past.